waiting for her to move this foot here. That's a temper tantrum. And then we go with the beak. Help me. Grab that one right there and pull with me. Ready? Pull.
This one right here?
Yeah. Okay. And pull the head off of the bird. Yeah. That'd be good. This is Nina. She is a red-tailed hawk. She is an adult red-tailed hawk. You can tell because she has the red tail. She was hatched last year, and I did fly her here, last year, but she was in juvenile plumage last year, which does not have this wash of red, and also would not have the red tail. She would have had a striped tail. Now, I am a licensed falconer, and she is definitely looking around ready to go flying. Because normally at this point, though, I would be releasing her then to go hunting. I'm a licensed falconer. Throughout all of the United States, you do have to have a license in order to practice this sport. This is considered a migratory bird, which means that it is protected by state, federal, international treaties, you name it. It's like you are not allowed to have in your possession any kind of wild animal unless you have an appropriate license to practice whatever it is that you're practicing. I'm going to go ahead and hood her again, though, just because she'll stay calm.
She's ready to go, isn't she?
Now, in order to get a license, though, in the state of Wisconsin, but it's also pretty much, though, the same throughout all the United States, though. First off, you have to pass a test with the state of Wisconsin, and they don't really tell you what's on the test. They say, read these books and know the laws. And there is a whole set of laws that have been written up, though, for falconry. So you study all that, and you set up with a game warden, and you go and you take the test. If you pass the test, then you need to get all of your facilities prepared. What she just did right there is called a rouse. We have terms for everything that the bird does. They also spit up the next day. This is a very small example. It's not very good. But they eat everything. They eat the hair, the bone, everything. They digest the bone, but the hair comes back up the next day as a little casting. This is a tiny one. Usually they're big blobs of it. So anyway, though, license. Pass the test. Then you have to get all your facilities ready. At home, I have 2 facilities for her. An indoor one, which is called a mews, which is kind of like a little shed, has a special window with bars. That's where she stays at nighttime and during bad weather. And then I have a weathering yard, which is where she goes during the daytime. It's a perch that she's tied to, like this perch, only bigger. And then it's surrounded by fence and top fence to protect her so nothing will bother her. And you have to have those. You have to have the jesses, you have to have the bells, you have to have the hoods, you have to have all the equipment. Then a game warden will come and inspect. And if you also have then the most important thing, which is a sponsor, somebody who is a licensed falconer already who will train you for 2 years. Because that's what you do, though. That's how you learn falconry, is you train with somebody. I am in my 5th year, so I finished my apprenticeship a couple years ago, and I do these talks all the time. So I'm what's called a general level. The first 2 years you're apprentice, then for 5 years after that you're a general level. After your 7 years, then you're considered a master falconer. I've only worked with a red tail, and as an apprentice you can work either with a red tail or a kestrel. And this bird did come from the wild. We did trap her from the wild, and then the whole learning process was to train her. She comes to my fist for a little tidbit, which I always have a nice supply of right there. So she'll come to the fist for a tidbit and for a whistle call. I'll show you also, though, then she's also trained, though, to come to the lure, which has got a big hunk of food on it. Now, this is what I finish her up with on the hunt, but also, though, if I'm out hunting and that there's some kind of an emergency and I got to get her down fast, she'll come to this. She is what we call wed to this lure. She'll come a great distance for it. She very much so knows what this is. This is dinner. That's a goodly portion. That's dinner for her. So she'll come to this. It is a blood sport, so we do kill small, cute, furry animals. I mean, that's just what it is.
We just got done trapping a couple weeks ago down here, so that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, some people are offended by it, you know, but, I mean, what we catch pretty much gets cut up, put in the freezer, and that's what she eats over the summer. This is a sport where we only hunt during the winter. The normal practice with falconry in America, though, is that we trap in the fall, we train the bird, we hunt all winter long, and in the springtime, though, you make the decision either are you going to keep the bird or not. if you're going to keep the bird, usually about April we stop flying them, because in April they start feeling an urge either to migrate or to then hook up with a mate, one or the other. And those two things interfere with the response of coming for food. So usually by April or so we will put them up if we're going to keep them, and we don't hunt them. Then throughout the summer they molt. They will change out their feathers completely. So, or you'll let them go. She is a wild bird, so she was raised by her parents. She was trapped after she was already independent of her parents, so she knows she's a hawk. Now there is some falconry which is done though by taking a nestling out of the nest while they're still just little tiny nestlings, and that's called imprinting, and that's where you then bond the bird to you as if you were its parent. But I don't practice that falconry because I haven't really learned how to do it, and it's much more difficult. When you imprint a bird, you could never let them go again, because they then consider humans as either mates or competitors. And if they're not handled right, then if you let them go, they would then start dive bombing people. Whereas she's a wild bird, though, she knows she's a hawk, and if I released her, if I fed her up and released her within a day or 2 or 3, she'd pretty much forget her training, and she'd go off and be a wild hawk. So we're going to go ahead, though. She has equipment. I'll just tell you real quick the equipment. Of course, is a gauntlet, which is what I need, though, because she has very sharp feet, which are called talons. It's not the beak you got to worry about, it's the feet. When I hunt with her, though, she has the ancient method on, which is the bells, and you can hear her jingling. You can hear them jingling. Whereas, though, she has the modern method on her, which is the telemetry, which is this little device right here. On it. She's got the telemetry on her, which I only fly my bird with telemetry because if for some reason she decided to fly off, I would want to get her back. And I have a transmitter in here, which I've already tested this.
Have you ever had to use that?
No.
You've never?
Not yet. Not yet. So it's working. It's working. So what we're going to do, the way of hunting, is we're going to go ahead and take her hood off, and I'm going to release her, and then we're going to work our way back over there, and she's going to follow us. Hopefully. Hopefully she'll be following us. She's a little higher today in her weight. We weigh them every day, twice a day, 3 times a day. She's a little higher today than I normally like to fly her. And then usually a question that I like to ask people is, how much do you think she weighs? Don't look at the scale. Anybody? Except for you people that know that I already told.
8 pounds.
8?
10 pounds. 2.
Okay, that's pretty heavy. 2's closer. Yeah,
Lighter than they look.
Yeah, they're much lighter than they look. 8
Hollow
pounds would be an
bones.
eagle. Hollow bones and feathers. She is 2 pounds 15 today. I usually like to fly her closer to 2 pounds 14 and a half or so. So she's a little higher than I normally like to fly her, but we've caught 14 rabbits this year. She's got this thing down, so I think she pretty much knows what the process is, and she knows we're about to hunt. So she most likely will not take off on me. But, you know,
Never know.
you never know. It could happen. It could happen, but I'm hoping not today. What? Now, her name is Nina, which is Spanish for little girl, and you're hearing exactly why she's called that. Because she gripes and bitches a lot. So, where are these people? We'll go that way. He's kind of swings on to me sometimes.